info here.
Where are we?
You are an HSBC, the world's best bank.
Who is your family?
These awesome people at HSBC are my family. We would love to hang out with you anytime.
Something exciting is happening in this business. And from this point forward, this is going to be a different bank.
We're really excited. It's been a phenomenal journey to get here. You'll see today how Pepper will really draw customers in, help customers with the wait experience, help to educate them.
This beautiful little robot is going to change retail, and me and Pablo then thought, how do we make it a game changer in banking?
This is how the journey begins for any customer who walks in.
We've got great people, we've got great location. We want customers to bank with us at this location because that's what banking is about. It's a people business. And that's a strength. We want to play to that strength.
I am so thrilled to bring Pepper to HSBC. It's been a great day and, arguably a historic day.
Yeah.
By the way, there hasn't ever been this much press for HSBC, maybe ever.
So thank you for being part of history, and thank you for everyone for their support.
So the man behind the video and behind having Pepper, Jeremy Balkin, Head of Innovation for HSBC.
Buenas tardes. Sorry, I'm from Australia. I can barely speak English, but I made an attempt at Spanish. Thanks for the opportunity to be here amongst many friends. Thank you, Ray and Maria, and all the wonderful people at Fintech Americas, and acknowledging my wonderful colleague Carlos, who's based in Miami, as well from HSBC. So thanks for being here. So I guess less is more. You saw the video, so let's go for lunch. We recently made history as the first major bank in the world to put a robot in a bank branch, and certainly the first in the US. And I think it's really a really interesting time to be alive. And in fact, I would actually say that the person speaking immediately after me is much more interesting, and you should definitely read his book, because I certainly have. Humans and Machines. It's a great, very high-level analytical understanding of this changing world that we're in, and having been through this case study in real time with what we did with Pepper, it's not about humans or machines, it's about humans and machines, and how that integration is going to give our people and your people superhuman capabilities. And so it's an honor to be here, and happy to have this conversation in the breakout afterwards or via other channels after this. So it's really great to be in Miami because obviously Miami, the way I think about it as an Australian, but I've lived in America for 5 years, I've always thought about Miami as sort of the capital of the Americas. And this, from Australia, we trade a lot with the Americas. So it's fascinating to see economic development and the trends over demography and economic trends, for the next 50 years. This is the region to be in. And obviously financial services has a key role to play. And I think if in 5 years' time we're still talking about fintech and banking, fintech and banks lose. It's about collaboration, it's about partnerships. And we've certainly put that into practice, not only with what you're seeing with Pepper on the video, but I can talk about some of the other things as well. So I think customer experience, is a nice cliche that's obviously talked about a lot in our industry. For the most part, banking is a transaction. It's not necessarily a choice you choose to make, like you choose to go to the Apple Store, or you choose to go to Amazon, or you choose to go on Yelp or Instagram. And really, that's now set the customer expectation. Customers, regardless of the industry, base customer experience on their last best customer experience, which chances are was delivered on a mobile device and chances are was not a bank. But that's who financial services is competing with. And so therefore, if you think about customer behavior, I often get asked to come to these conferences and speak about the future, and frankly, I don't care about the future. It's hard enough to think about today, let alone about what may happen. But one thing I know to be true with history and very likely to continue to be true is that customers, human beings, which is all of us, desire the best quality product or service at the lowest quality price, at the lowest possible price. Does anyone disagree with that? Anyone wants to pay a lot for a really bad service? And that's kind of economics 101. And so therefore, when you think about what technologies are going to be relevant going forward, irrespective of the industry, but banking and financial services have traditionally lagged other industries, any technology that either helps you improve the customer experience or reduces the price to a customer is going to be very, very relevant. But for the most part, customers don't ask, when they use Google and they get autofill for a search term that comes really fast, they're not really concerned about whether it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, or insert the buzzword here behind that. They just want to know, did I get a search term, did I get my search results really fast? Or same with product selection on Amazon, or likewise with a bank. So again, that basic equation about best quality product or service at the lowest possible price, that's the intersection that I think we're striving towards, and therefore the technology that helps us get there and gets there faster and continues to move that curve out, that's what wins. So, as a financial institution, the world's largest retail bank, my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents are from Africa. I'm born in Australia. I work for a British bank that has an Asian name, and I'm based in New York, and today I'm in Miami. So the diversity of experiences, backgrounds, I guess if someone's going to look at the world differently, it's probably going to be me, which helps when you're doing innovation because we define it as doing something differently that creates value. Two key intents there. It's difference and value. Ideas are free, talk is cheap, execution is really hard. And executing that adds value to your organization, to your customers, to the communities you serve, that's how you win. And so we've been on this journey now. I've been living in the US for 5 years. I've been with HSBC for 3. And you can imagine starting from a zero base, there was probably a lot of skepticism about the crazy Aussie based in New York, doing all this interesting stuff for HSBC, a 153-year-old, very risk-averse financial institution that's been synonymous with economic development. And what I would simply say is that if you look at the history of our bank, HSBC started with two guys from the UK who were based in Hong Kong, who had this audacious dream in 1865 to finance trade with the US. Now in 1865, I don't know about you, but I wasn't around then. But my gut tells me neither was an iPhone, a BlackBerry, a fax machine, a telephone, the internet, email. That's pretty kind of audacious as a startup in Fintech in 1865. And look, 153 years later, what HSBC has become. But of course, over 153 years, not a lot has changed in real terms in banking, or certainly in retail banking in particular. But one thing that really has changed is customer expectations. Absolutely, customer expectations has changed. And so if you think about the biggest innovation in retail banking that most people acknowledge was about 60 years ago with the development of the vending machine for cash, which you might know as the ATM. And then in the last few years, that vending machine for cash now does a lot of basic administration. But of course, as society, particularly developed economies like the US, become less cash dependent over time, and it's more about digitizing cash, digitizing financial services, the ATM, which is a very expensive fixed asset that's stuck to a wall, becomes less and less relevant. So you've got to think about what other technologies and what other platforms are there to enhance the customer experience and reduce your cost to serve. And that's one of the reasons why we got to Pepper and had the honor of leading this project with my team and actually making history in our industry, which usually when banks' stories go viral, they're maybe not so positive, and I guess the Pepper rollout really surprised us with the amount of attention it got, and even more surprising that it went viral around the world with over 600 million hits online and the various traditional media and social media channels. But more importantly, it was positive. The sentiment was 99.9% positive, and this was about robots in the workplace. And just think about some of the macro political issues we're dealing with in the developed economies about the future of technology and automation and jobs, etc. Really fascinating time. And again, I encourage you to read James's book because it'll help you, if you're uncertain about many of these things or you know people in corporate America who are, that's a really good shining light and guiding path to help you navigate these issues going forward. And as a company that's been in the heart of these issues, that's actually put a case study to work to test how robotics can enhance our people, give our people superhuman capabilities, I would actually go a step further. And one of the lessons that we'll share today, because we have over 2 months worth of data since we launched at the end of June, is something that even surprised us and our team, is I would argue that robots can in many cases be more empathetic than humans. Because that beautiful, shiny little robot Pepper will, no matter what time of day, she'll never get tired. When she answers a customer query, she'll never roll her eyes or race out an answer because she's tired and she sees 5 people waiting in line for that answer at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. She's going to be the same positive, happy self with the same tone of voice, the same excitement. And customers really respond to that well. In addition, what's an interesting sort of tangent is how we got to Pepper, actually. So about 3 years ago, I was at an innovation lab in Manhattan. And it was like a 3-day conference and had these different breakout areas. And it was Friday afternoon. And by lunchtime on Friday, most of the conference was at the bar in Soho nearby, but I happened to stick around. And I saw Pepper in a different use case. I saw Pepper, this robot, in 2016 in a hospitality-like setting. So in a restaurant. That was the sort of the test case. And I can tell you, coming to America in 2013 with my apparently much stronger Australian accent at that time, it was incredibly frustrating for me to communicate with people. I thought we spoke English. I'm sure almost everyone in this room is at least bilingual, so you can all feel what I'm talking about. Having to, get a bottle of water, or where's the subway, or can I get a coffee? And certainly in America, get a decent coffee, not like the great Cuban coffees you can get down in Miami. Some of these things were a challenge. It was incredibly frustrating for me to say things 3, 4, 5 times, and I spoke English. So what about the 22% of Americans who speak 2 languages? How difficult it must be for them to communicate. So that empathy I really felt. And when I saw this robot in a different use case, and I started speaking to it, and she understood me perfectly without having to repeat myself 5 times and feel like an idiot, I was like, this little robot is going to change retail. How does it change banking? And so, and you saw my CEO, Pablo Sanchez, speak in the video. Pablo, by the way, sends his love and best regards. He loves Miami. His daughter lives here. He spends a lot of time down here. We got around to thinking about how this could apply to banking for our customers. What could the test case be? And we spent a lot of time doing research with our local customers on 5th Avenue in Manhattan. So we deployed it at our flagship branch in the heart of Midtown. And if you're in New York, please come and visit us. Reach out to me or my team. We'll give you a personalized demonstration. Come and visit us and see Pepper for yourself. And more importantly, get a selfie, because everyone comes, gets a selfie. But we deployed it at 5th Avenue because 5th Avenue is synonymous with innovation and cutting-edge retail experiences. It's the most valuable piece of real estate on earth, except if you're a banking customer. So you go on 5th Avenue, you got Nike Town, which is synonymous with innovation. You got the Apple Store, the Adidas store, or that Pablo keeps reminding me, Americans say Adidas, the Adidas concept store. Google have a pop-up every other year. Microsoft have a store, and Microsoft have just rolled out Peppers in their retail locations around the country now, after we did it, which is great. Even Tiffany's, the famous Tiffany's, have been thinking about how can they be more innovative in their retail experience on 5th Avenue with the evolution of digital. Because, by the way, humans still crave the marketplace. They crave the marketplace for ideas. They crave the marketplace to interact. Just like you could have probably watched this on live stream, you wanted to be here today to interact with each other. And as technology and digitization becomes more prevalent, the craving for humans to interact becomes even more at a premium, I would argue. The marketplace for ideas and collaboration and connection doesn't stop. In fact, it becomes more and more powerful with the digitization over time, and will become more so as we have more automation, more robotic process automation, better use of artificial intelligence in our commercial and personal lives. So when you look at 5th Avenue, and so with Tiffany, as I say, 100-plus-year-old institution that sells jewelry, they thought to put a cafe to drive traffic. You can actually go and have breakfast at Tiffany's now. But if you go on Google Maps and you type in banks on 5th Avenue, unbranded search, just banks on 5th Avenue in New York, you'll just see all these red dots on the map of all these banks. And they're all as, beautiful or not beautiful as each other. And so Pablo and I thought 3 years ago, when we both joined the bank, we were like, we got the world's best location. Just because other banks don't see the value of building a branch of the future and implementing technologies for our customers and thinking about robotics and thinking about artificial intelligence and thinking about what do our customers need. And we couldn't believe that none of our competitors took that challenge. And so we spent a good part of the last 2 out of the last 3 years, we've had a whole host of upgrades at our location, including rolling out Pepper recently, which I'm honored to share today with you some of the stunning results that we've seen. So for example, when we did a very comprehensive study of every single thing that moved in our branch for 3 months. So we didn't get the kind of the lucky Thursday between lunchtime where you got this we did everything that moved over 3 months. So it was a very detailed sample set. And one of the most interesting things we found in that study was that 73% of what our customers were doing with our bankers was what we would categorize as binary or generic. Customer walks in, they want to ask where the ATM is. Where is the ATM? Where is the teller? Can I get foreign currency? Where's the subway? These basic, very simple binary transactions or interactions that frankly, our customers didn't really enjoy doing, because if you have to wait in line to be told the ATM's behind you, maybe that's not that's not a great customer experience. And nor is it great for our people who are serving customers, and it gets stressful at times, and you see people waiting in line. And so we thought at the very least, if Pepper can help us solve that 73% of time challenge, whether it could reduce it to 0, but certainly reduce it from 73 closer to 0, we think that alone was a huge win for our people on a productivity basis, any more than what could Pepper do to enhance a customer experience. And over time, be more than just a greeting and financial education play, and think about how it could actually help solve banking needs, which I'll share with you. So the way we designed this use case, and remember, we made history, the first bank to do this, so there was no body of evidence. There was no other thing we could compare it to. So we took, as you would expect, a risk-averse approach. There is 0, and I stress this, 0, personal customer identifiable information asked on Pepper, stored on Pepper, requested by Pepper. It's not recording you by voice, it's not recording your face. I would argue, in fact, in this rollout, 99% of Pepper's capabilities are not even deployed, because we wanted to learn. And don't let your organization be held back by somebody who tells you, no, we can't go and do this innovation, we can't test this because, and they'll just throw you bureaucracy behind it. Test things. Test. That's how we move the innovation curve out. That's how we progress as an industry. That's what our customers expect from us. So don't let this notion that overrides a lot of our industry of what I would describe as go from no to how, and eventually from how to yes. And we all have a role to play in that. And so when we rolled out Pepper, on June 26th, the investment probably paid off within about 3 hours. Because we had record foot traffic. Record foot traffic, and not just in a day. We're still seeing record foot traffic now. We set very clear KPIs, because I wanted this to be held accountable, and I wanted to set an example to the rest of my organization and my industry that data actually matters, transparency matters, and so do KPIs. So we set 6 key KPIs. We want to drive more foot traffic off of Fifth Avenue. More foot traffic means more needs fulfilled and the opportunity for our wonderful humans, our bankers, to do more of what they do best and grow their businesses. We wanted to reduce the waiting times, and if you have to wait in line, I want to improve the waiting experience. We wanted to educate our customers about other HSBC products and services, but more importantly, their self-service options. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute and some of the successes we have. Fifth, we wanted to free up the time of our bankers. I told you about that 73%. I wanted to give them time back so they could spend more time deepening their relationships with customers and new customers. And then finally, what we like to call in HSBC the healthiest human system. We wanted to set a new standard for employee morale, for customer engagement in our industry. You saw the video. Where in retail banking, anywhere in America, maybe even the world, do you see customers actually smiling when they walk into a branch? Seriously. When was the last time you smiled in a bank branch? And we're really proud of that. And so, we've seen record foot traffic. In the first month alone of deploying Pepper, we saw 5,500, to round off number, interactions with Pepper. The investment, like I said, paid off within a couple of hours with all the new business that came from launch. We've seen in retail banking in the US, industry best practice for waiting times is 4 minutes. I'm just curious, anyone been to a bank branch lately? Did you wait 4 minutes or less? Maybe not. The average session time with Pepper in our sample set for the first month, the average session time was 56 seconds, which is about, give or take, hold me honest here, what's that, 76% below industry best practice for waiting times? And Pepper is educating customers about their self-service options. So every journey currently within Pepper is designed to end with a human. Either at the end of the journey, let's say a customer is interested about credit cards, finding about the different product features. Eventually, Pepper will say, would you like to speak to a banker about this? And it will get you to a banker. Or a customer may come in to want to deposit a check, and Pepper says, you can deposit the check by waiting in line and going to our teller, or you can use your personal internet banking app for remote capture. You can deposit that check on the ATM outside. Here's a video how. Self-service. And let me tell you another interesting data point. In the first week alone of launching Pepper at our flagship location, so you want to talk about, I'm fascinated by behavioral economics and customer behaviors, and I don't know if you've read by the famous Nobel Prize winner Richard Taylor about nudges. So if you think about changing customer behaviors, we saw approximately 9.2% of Pepper's interactions in the first week alone saying to customers, you don't need to do this transaction with a person. You can actually use the ATM and self-serve effectively. We then saw a 6.8% increase in ATM transaction volumes in the same period. So a very strong correlation of nudging customers to self-service channels that free up their time. Fascinating insights, and I can go on literally for days about what we've learned. And now we've had so much success that we're now thinking about going to phase 2, which we didn't think we'd be getting to for another 6 to 12 months, about integrating straight through journeys on Pepper. So not only just finding out, tell me about credit cards, well, what happens if it's would you like to apply for the credit card? And then if a customer so chooses to give their cell phone number or email, Pepper will then text you the same link to the credit card application journey that we currently have online. And then on the customer's device, whether it's their smartphone, a tablet, desktop, then they can go and do it in their own security, their own time, their own privacy, continue to bank. Download the banking app, open new accounts, credit card applications. That's where we're going because we've had such a fantastic launch and the results have been stunning. But most importantly, it's our customers. If you go on social media and you type in hashtag #MeetPepper, hashtag Pose with Pepper, hashtag HSBC at 452 Fifth Avenue. Don't even take my word for it, just see the smiles. See the feedback for yourself. Come and visit us. But more to the point, it's the empathy piece. The one thing that's really struck me the most is not only proving the thesis of James's book about the technology ultimately gives people, our people, superhuman capabilities. That is absolutely true. But the empathy piece. I've had so many smart people come and tell me in my day job over the last few years that, the one thing robots or technology doesn't have that we humans are so great at is empathy. And well, I used to believe that until I've actually seen it in practice. And I would argue that in our case study that actually Pepper is arguably more empathetic than a crazy New Yorker who's in a hurry to deposit a check at lunchtime, that waiting any more than a minute is too long. And Pepper can calm you down and smile and be the same tone of voice, the same smile, positive demeanor. It's amazing what it's done for customers. What's also amazing is how customers interact with each other. New Yorkers tend to be pretty short-tempered and like to talk over each other. And Pepper, we've seen actually customers, and our people, me included, Pepper will only interact with you like old-fashioned. You can't interrupt her. So people have had to change the way they communicate with each other. And thank you to a robot for teaching us about civility and patience and not interrupting the people we're interacting with. It's been a phenomenal journey, and I would argue if we're going to make one prediction over the years to come, it is that Robotics, certainly powered with artificial intelligence, not only will give us superhuman capabilities, which I think we all know to be true, but I think it'll actually make us more human, because it's going to give us time back, both as customers and as people in corporate America, certainly in banking. And that extra time is really, really valuable, and that gives us an opportunity to deepen relationships, to go into territories we've never ventured into before as humans with each other. And with that, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Make sure to come and visit us in Manhattan, and have a wonderful rest of the conference. Thank you.